Hi, I'm Jeffrey Hodges, and I'm author of the book Sportsmind, Champion Thoughts, Champion Feelings, and Sports Hypnosis. And I've just done a short video on being your personal best, and it was really applicable for anyone who wants to get the best out of themselves, but especially for sports people aspiring to the best. Please have a look at sportsmind.com.au if you want more information. Being your best self. So, just to frame things in a little bit of a different light, a number of you have spoken about specific goals or particular intentions. One of the ways to include those kind of specific goals and intentions is to combine them all into a new sense of self, so that sense of self can embrace a number of areas, rather than just saying, oh, I want to go and get a black belt in Aikido, or I want to be able to lose 3 kilos, or whatever it is, or I want to get a job in the IT industry. So let's broaden our concept of, rather than thinking about a goal, thinking about a who. So who are you going to be? Who is this self that has accomplished those intentions, that has accomplished that particular goal or intention that you want in your life, whether it be a relationship goal, a career goal, a financial goal, something like that. So this is why I called this talk Being Your Best Self, rather than saying set up some goals or intentions for 2021. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't have those goals and intentions as part of that self. Of course we can, because that's who we will become. That self will have certain things. You can't escape the fact that tomorrow you're going to become someone. Next week you'll be doing something. By the end of next year you will have earned a certain amount of money. Now, what is that going to be? And who you are as that person who has been done, had, and accomplished all those things is more important, in my view, in being able to help you shift from where you are. If you're stuck, in particular, if you're feeling yourself floundering, if you're feeling stuck, is it feeling you can't get where you want to go because of whatever reason has been holding you back, the best way to approach this, rather than setting up a list of goals, which can and does work, and I'm sure you've all done it, I've done it, everybody's done it, and athletes do it ad nauseum, but a more comprehensive and effective strategy is to embrace identity change. In other words, create an image of the kind of best self that you will be when you are doing what you want to do, when you've got that job, when you're not floundering, when you are over those health issues that may have challenged you. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell for you? Can you see how this can be much more embracing and more effective than just setting a few goals? Because how many people have set a few goals and then kind of got bored after a few days? Hands up, we all have, of course, okay? But if you can get excited about becoming a different person that is greater than you are at the moment, better in inverted commas than you are at the moment, isn't that a much more exciting thing that gives more motivation to you and more meaning for you? For most people, this is the case. So I put up this little artistic representation of you here, and as you can see, I've studied art for many years. So here you are. This is your present self. This is yourself here in the present. You go and meet anyone for the first time at a party, or just a new person at work or whatever, what they will do is they will mostly talk about, if you want to say, tell me a bit about yourself, they'll talk about their past. Well, I went to school at such and such, or I went to a private school, or I went to a public school. I worked in such and such or I studied at uni and did this degree, and then I worked as a teacher in that school over there, and then I got transferred out west and spent time there, and that's where I met my husband and had 3 kids there, etc. We talk about our past, don't we? And so we have all these past selves, all the way back to childhood and little baby self there, okay? From birth up to the present. This is all the past, is it not? And the interesting thing is that we tend to think of ourself by referring backwards to who I've been, what I've done, what I think about things, what I like, what I don't like, who I'm with, what I've studied, what my education is. So this sense of self that we have is a past referring self, correct? In other words, we think about our past. Now that is a useful thing, particularly, I would say only if your past has been empowering. If you've been abused as a child and had a drug addicted mother and father left when you were 3 years old and got into the system, the social system, whereby your mother you were taken away from your mother because she was a drug addict, and you ended up bouncing from one foster parent to another, and you got abused by one of those. That's not going to be a very healthy past to provide a kind of a sense of self that's going to be really empowering, is it? Okay. So this is all well and good if you've got a positive past that you can draw upon, that can give you the sense of confidence and the sense of feeling good about yourself to be able to go, okay, well, what do I need to do with my life? So how do we relinquish this limitation, or the bounds of the limitation of this past referring process? We do that by changing our reference point. Now in the past, what I have said is to change your reference point from being past referring to being future referring. In other words, you're going to become someone tomorrow, aren't you? And 2 weeks later you'll be someone else. Maybe you'll be a bit fatter, maybe a bit skinnier, I don't know. You've got a big fatter head after doing the Sportsmind workshop, you're doing fine. And eventually, we get to old age and we start getting smaller again. And death, So here we have future. Really exciting. So what I've suggested in the past is one of the ways to relinquish yourself, or to cut yourself off from any limitation from the past, is to change your reference point. So instead of referring to yourself in the past, think about a positive future self, or what I call a desired future self, to whom you can identify and start to refer to. So in Helen's case, if it's okay for me to use your example, Helen said in the past she had a fear of technology, but Helen is now wanting to create a sense of self that is competent with technology and finds technology easy and fun to use. Okay, so she has identified a particular self. Here she is here, this Helen here, who in a year's time or 3 months' time, however long, is really competent and capable of using technology really, really well to help advance her business. Okay, so rather than thinking backwards, she's thinking about this. Now, I got this concept from working with Lydia Lassila. Now, Lydia Lassila was the Olympic gold medalist in 2010. She was an aerial skier, and she won the Olympic gold medal for aerial skiing in 2010 at the Beijing Winter Olympics. Okay. I had the great privilege of meeting her in 2008, where we sat down and she came to me for some coaching. And she sat down and I said, okay, Lydia, you know, how can I help? And she immediately got quite emotional. And she said, I'm sick of being number 2. I was number 2 to Alyssa Camplin over the last 4 years, and prior to that I was number 2 to Jackie Cooper. And I said, stop. Because what was she doing? Talking about the past. I said, if you keep talking about the past, Cameron, you know, you will continue to recreate that, Lydia. You know, you will continue to recreate that. I said, what do you want? And she said, well, I want to win the gold medal in 2010. This was in 2008. I met her in 2008. We were sitting in a mini room, 2008, talking about this. I said, well, I'd like you to recognize that you all have a future in front of you, don't you? And I said to Lydia, hey, Lydia, you've got lots of potential futures, haven't you? There's the potential future where, you know, you decide to give up aerial skiing because it's all too hard, because her mother was hounding her, because at this time I think Lydia was 29 or 28, and her mother was hounding her to have kids. Her mother wants to be a grandkid, have grandchildren. She's the only daughter in a you know, 4 brothers and Lydia, you know, and mum wants her to have babies. So that's a possible future. Lydia gives up, okay, isn't it? She said, yeah. Another possible future, hey, you might smash and crash and burn like you did in 2008, where she crashed and had a knee operation and was out of action for 6 or 12 months, I think it was. You know, that's a possibility. There's a possibility that you get a bronze medal. There's a possibility that you don't even get to the finals. But there's also the possibility you win the gold medal. I want you to push all those other futures out of the road, bring this one front and center, make it big and bright and colourful. There it is. Make a representation. 2010, what would you see? What would you hear? What would you be feeling if you actually won that gold medal in 2010? What would be going on? So she said, I'd be standing on the dais, you know, up above the 2nd and 3rd place people. I'd feel the weight of the gold medal around my neck. I'd be hearing the Australian anthem playing. There'd be tears in my eyes, and she's getting emotional. You know? And I said, okay, that future, because here she is in 2008, that future, there's that future self in 2010. I want you to float through time now. Imagine you can float through time and actually step into this Lydia here in 2010. Now really be in her body. Feel the excitement, the pride, the satisfaction, the sense of fulfillment. Hear the Australian anthem playing. Now look around, see the audience. Now, look back at yourself there in 2008. What do you have to say to yourself? And you go, oh, you know, just keep doing what I'm doing, you know, do some more mental training with you, Jeff. And you know, I said, look, the biggest thing that I teach my athletes is not to listen necessarily to listen to me or the advice of their coaches or anyone else, but to listen to the best coach that they have. And the best coach that you have is the you in a year or 2 years' time or in 10 years' time who is a successful business person with his own business and got a family with 3 kids or whatever it is. You know, that's the person you want to listen to. But it only works if you got that person to talk to. Isn't this true? Now, the thing is, if you go down the street and say, hey, I'm Jeffrey Hodges, I'm doing interviews for Channel 17. Helen, what do you want? Helen will know. What do you want? Kelly, what do you want? Asking people off the street. You know what most people say?
Be happy. Or something.
Possibly. Most people say,
money.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. More money? I want to be happy. Yeah, you know, that's right. Okay, smile. There you go. Are you happy now? Have you ever been happy? You know, create the feelings in your body. The thing is, a lot of people tend to make emotional experiences as goals, and that's stupid. You know, why not be happy now? There's no reason not to be happy right now. If you've ever been happy in your life, you can create those feelings of happiness in your body right now by moving your body in a certain way, by using the muscles in your face, the 80 muscles in your face, to smile and to feel excited. Because you can create any emotion in your body right now simply by using your physiology and by managing the memories and the thoughts that are in your head. So don't ever make an emotional state as a goal. So most people don't know what they want, and therefore there's no future self to guide them. Therefore, they are pushed from behind by who they've been. Okay? They push from behind. Oh, I've always done it this way. We can't do this. I'm no good. I don't have enough connections. I'm not intelligent enough. I don't have enough money, etc. Okay? And we've all been there. I'm not pointing fingers. I've been there, you've been there, we've all been there. Okay? So the key to this process, remember I said this is what I used to say to people. I've got something even better now. There you go, something extra for Helen here, you know. So I used to say, rather than referring backwards, I want you to refer forward. Pick a desired future self who you really want to become. A successful sportsmind, coach with my own business, whatever it is. And then connect with that person. You know, put a time frame on it. 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is. As with what Lydia did, really get in touch. How would she look? How would he feel? What would they be doing? What would be happening? You know, what kind of physical body would I have? What time would I get up in the morning? Make it as boring as that. Think of a specific whole day that this desired self. How would you be spending the day? I'd be getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'd be going and doing the yoga class, and then I'd come home and I'd have a nice healthy breakfast, or whatever it is that you want to create for your desired future self. And hey, why limit yourself? You have the capacity to create any future you want for yourself, if you really want to. But that's the key, desire. It needs to be a desired future self, not a, oh yeah, that'd be nice, a hope. Wouldn't it be good? Gee, I'd love to go up smoking one day. Be good, wouldn't it? Gee, I'd love to do it. God, I wish I could give up smoking. I find it hard to give up the women and the drugs too, you know, it's really hard. So, as I said, if we can change our reference point or our referring process, because look, in order to think about ourselves, not just to introduce yourself to someone else, but in order to even just get through the day, you've got to think about who you are. And who you are is a collection of, for most people, all these selves back to when you were at school. Oh, I got bullied at school, so that's, you know, makes me who I am. You know? Whatever it is. And we don't forget those things, do we? We could, and it'd be helpful to forget those old negative ones. Hey, why store them in there? There's a concept called manage your memories. And if there's one thing that I can encourage you to take from this talk, it is manage your memories in a way that empowers you. Most people manage their memories in a way that limits them. So what we want to be able to do is forget about this past referring process. Certainly use it for the positive in your life, definitely. You know, if you've got really strong self-confidence about having a healthy diet or something like that, and that you really care for your body, hey, keep that. Why not? You want to carry that through to the future, don't you? You know, of course. But anything that's limiting you or negative, leave behind by managing your memories effectively. So the way to do that, change your reference point. Instead of thinking about the past, think about this desired future you. So that this Cameron, or this Jenny, or this Kirsten, or this Louie is the kind of person that you get coaching from. Kelly, imagine getting coaching from someone on a daily basis. How much would you have to pay for that if you consulted with them for 30 minutes every day? Probably a couple $100 a day, you know? But you could get coaching from this desired future self. The key is we want to flesh this desired future self out really clearly. Now there's a step even more advanced than that, okay? And that is that you can change your reference point but to this here, but it's still a limited sense of self. And what I want you to understand is that there is another perspective that you can take. And this is the witnessing consciousness. So if this person here in the room right now, is that really you? Is that really you? It isn't, is it? Because was the person you were yesterday, hey, they're gone. They're gone. Who you were yesterday is gone. Who you're going to be tomorrow hasn't come into being yet. You know? None of these selves are really the true you. They are only mental representations, processes of thinking about myself that I sometimes learned from either socialization processes, educational processes, or personal life experiences. I developed a thought about me, and I jumped into that thought and said, this is me. You know, I'm a handsome man. You know, or whatever it is that you jumped into or thought about. Okay, so none of them are really you. The real you is this witnessing self. Because can you right now get out of your mind and watch your thoughts? Can you separate a part of you, separate yourself or your sense of I from your mind, and can you watch your mind thinking? You go, oh yeah, I see that mind thinking their stuff, you know, it's saying, oh yeah, you know, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, she's pretty cute over there, you know, or whatever the mind is saying. Can you do that? Anyone not able to do that? Can you watch your thinking? You know this chatter that happens all the time. You know, we get up in the morning and we start chattering. Psychologists say we think 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day, many of them about ourselves. This is this incessant mind chatter that's going on. Can you watch that mind chatter? Of course you can. Okay? So if you can watch the mind chatter, you're not the mind chatter. The mind chatter is all these selves, and it changes. It changes day to day. I mean, that's how we change. That's how we become fatter, become thinner, become fitter, become poorer, richer, happier, sadder, whatever it is. They're just mind chatters that have created a self that we jumped into and called me. But if we can step out of that mind chatter and recognize that we are this witnessing consciousness, not any of these particular selves, whether they're good or bad. If we can recognize that we are this witnessing consciousness, from this point we can really intend with much more power a particular desired future self, or a particular self that we want to experience in that moment. Concept of the witnessing consciousness and linking that with the desired future self can make really powerful changes in your life virtually immediately. Okay. But there's 4 principles that will help you to use these practical techniques really powerfully. And the first principle is get dissatisfied. I hope you're all pissed off about something. I hope you're all angry about something or disappointed about something or whatever. I want you to use the power of disappointment or power of dissatisfaction. Can't get no. That's the trouble with being an auditory. I've got it in my head, but I can't see it on the board, you know. So, what are you dissatisfied about? See, let's take something simple that you can do and use tonight. Use the techniques that I share with you tonight that will prove to you some simple little thing that you can change in your life that you can then use the same principles later on to make larger changes in your life. Okay? So pick one thing you're dissatisfied about. Maybe you've got a bit overweight over COVID. Maybe you've been eating rubbish food, too much chocolate or whatever it is. Maybe you haven't been exercising enough. Maybe you have been getting up too late. Maybe you haven't developed a sense of a discipline throughout the day, or whatever it is that you want to do. I'm not saying you have to do these things. Okay, this needs to be desired, something you want to desire a change in your life, something you're dissatisfied with now. My current husband is a real turkey. I'm getting out of here. You know, your current husband is a turkey, Louis. Okay, so what are you dissatisfied about in your life now? Okay, just write it down. You don't have to share this with anyone. Just be honest with yourself, and that you really want to change. See, sometimes your sense of self is connected with that poor little me, so you don't really want to let that go. You know, so be careful of that too. So what do you want to change in yourself? Pick something simple. Something simple that you can demonstrate with these techniques that I'll share with you tonight actually works really effectively. Some simple little thing you want to change. Okay, I want to establish a yoga routine every morning, for example. Okay. And feel dissatisfied about how it is now. Think for a moment about what it's cost you physically, emotionally, mentally, maybe even financially, to have been the way you've been for the last weeks, months, years, whatever it is. Okay? Feel dissatisfied about that and get to the point in yourself where you say, that's it, no more, I'm out of here. You know, there's my bags, I'm leaving. Well, here's your bags, you're leaving. Got the idea? So you're at that point. I'm assuming you're all at this dissatisfaction point. So the next key is to start at the end. So when I wanted to get a black belt in Aikido, and I grew up being this wimpy little sook, all my life bullied, you know, and at age 38 decided I'm going to take up Aikido, where I didn't have any experience of being a real man. You know, I didn't play football at school, I played table tennis. I didn't like to be around macho men, they scared me. So for me to set a goal and have a desire to get a black belt in Aikido, because it's something that I wanted to prove to myself as well as to the athletes that I started working with in Sportsmind, that the Sportsmind techniques worked, I had to start at the end and think about, okay, well, what do I need, who do I need to become? I need to have courage, I need to be disciplined, I need to be fearless. So I made it a really clear image of the kind of person I wanted to become as the end result. Because then you know where you're going, don't you? If you just say, oh, I'd like to lose a bit of weight, or I'd like to get a bit more money, well, here's 20 cents, get out of here. You got a bit more money. So we want to be clear, don't we? We want to have a clear idea of what we want. So start at the end. So how would you rather be? What you were dissatisfied about, get clear. Write down now well, how would I rather it? I'd rather have a regular part-time job, 30 hours a week, earning, $30 an hour, whatever it is, okay? Working in a field I really enjoy. Or I'd rather be 5 kilos lighter and feeling that I can walk up the stairs without getting puffed. Or I'd rather have a really healthy diet, so when people invite me to have junk food at morning tea, I say no thanks, and I bring up my carrot sticks and celery sticks. You know? Ask Alana, she's the health expert. So we start at the end. Everyone got that? So you've got something you're dissatisfied about, and now you're turning that around and you're going, okay, how would I rather be? And you're starting to envisage how you want to be. Because this is the key. With our imagination, we create the future in advance. With our imagination, with our visualization, we create the future in advance. With your imagination, you're creating your future selves tomorrow, next week, and next month, right now. You know, you're doing it subconsciously, you just don't know you're doing it. But how do we maintain that sense of continuity with ourselves if we don't project who I am or who I think I am into the next day and the next day and the next day and the day after that? Okay. So, the third key is to envisage. Desired future self. And I use the word envisage, meaning see it, create a vision of who you want to be. Because human beings are predatory animals led by their eyes. When we were evolving or being created, whatever you believe, in those old days when we were out hunting, gathering, we looked for prey and for danger, didn't we? You know, human beings are led by our eyes. We are visual creatures. And the key to making any change in your life, the key to becoming a better sports person, better mother, father, have a better relationship, is to envisage that first, isn't it? You know, if you can't see yourself doing something, you won't. You know, have you ever said to someone, "Oh, come on, let's go and do this. You know, it might be a fun run," and they go, "Oh, I couldn't see myself doing that." You think they'd go? No. No way. No way, Jose. So, if you can't see yourself, so close your eyes, everyone, just for a minute, and actually picture yourself being the way you want to be. Really picture yourself that way. Can you see it? If you can't, pick something different, because you won't go for and you won't attain something you can't envisage in your own head. Okay? Can you see yourself that? Now, when I first started training in Aikido, I couldn't see myself with a black belt. It was just too far from where I was as the wimpy little bully kid, you know. So I pictured myself getting a brown belt, and that was something I could visualize, because I looked at the brown belts and thought, oh, they're not so hot, you know, they're okay, you know, but I can get there. You know. So that's how we do it. Make sure that you can hold in your mind a clear picture of that person you want to be, that desired future self. Okay? And then the final step is to use the principle of KAIZEN. It's a Japanese term meaning great changes accrue from small actions taken repeatedly over time. Huge changes can be made if you take a small action and you just repeat that small action over and over and over and over again.
In Australia we say, from little things, big things grow.
In Japan we say KAIZEN. That's cool. That's great. Thank you. From little things, big things, right. But little things repeated is the key here. It's not like plant one corn seed and up you come, you've got a corn crop. You know? It's plant a corn seed every single day, isn't it? So if someone wants to lose weight, for example, and they say, okay, I can go for a walk with the dog, and they do that one morning for 20 minutes, and that's it. It's not going to result in much change. But if they do that 20-minute walk every single day for the next 6 months, is that going to make a positive difference? Yes, it is. You betcha, Bippy. It's going to make a huge difference. I put that into practice when my children were born, because I'm a forward planner. As soon as my son was born, I thought, oh, university degrees, that's a lot of money. So university, so I'm thinking, oh God, I better start saving up now. So I decided to put aside $100 a month to an account for Benjamin from the day he was born. And I did that pretty much every month right up till he was about 15, 16, I think it was. And I did the same for Lauren. She came along 3 years later. And by the time they finished high school, both those kids had $20,000, I think it was, in the bank account, which was great. And I was thinking when that happened, I think, why didn't I put aside $100 for myself as well? I just get a new car. I didn't do it. You know, it's amazing what we do for other people that we don't do for ourselves, isn't it? You know, I'm thinking, it's Turkey, Hodges, come on, you know. So, but it's the concept of KAIZEN. It wouldn't have worked if I just did it once or twice, would it? Okay, it's putting it aside, etc. every single day. So, as you envisage this desired future self, ask yourself one key question, one simple little question that will turn on the lights for all of you. And that is, what one small action could I take repeatedly that if I did nothing else, if I did this every single day or every single week, would eventually lead me to getting the desired goal that I want? What one small action could I take every day? It might be making a phone call. You know, like if you're a salesperson, if you make one cold call, that's not going to make much difference in your sales, is it? You know? But if you make 10 cold calls every single day for 10 weeks, that's going to make a difference. Who was it that wanted to write a book? Kirsten, was it? I've written 12 books. Mm-hmm. Okay. So have you written your book yet, or is it just?
It's about 30,000 words.
Good work. Well done. Okay. So how did it get to there?
By writing.
Every single day, or did you go through spurts and then you put it aside for 3 months, or?
Yeah, it's look, you may call it a procrastination thing, but what I believe it is that it has a particular message that wants to come, but it also has an evolutionary process attached to it. So it had to stop for a while to get the next bit. So I'm in that next bit now.
But I totally understand. And would it benefit you if you had some kind of regular check-in with that?
Yeah, it probably would, because it probably would be a little bit more organised than what it currently is at the moment.
There you go. So one of the techniques that we'll help you with today, when I was studying my NLP training in January 1993, I hadn't written a word of Sportsmind. It was in my mind. I had a vision of it. And we went through this process where we took the vision and put it in our future on a timeline, and we walked it. I did that process, and you'll do that with Alana later this evening. And I hadn't written a word. This was in February, late January, early February. And I wanted this book ready by September of that year, 1993. And I knew, and I was self-publishing, so I knew I would have to have the book finished by July, etc. So this is what I pictured. I pictured the steps, and I pictured the end result. There I was with the book in my hand. I had that book in my hand September 1993. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't like I worked hard or it was an effort. It was like See, when you do this process where you have that desired future self, rather than feeling, oh, I'm working hard towards this future and there it is up there, oh, I really want it really badly. No. What you want is you want to be, this is vacuuming. I can't help but move in this direction. This is pulling me towards this future. Isn't that what drive is all about? People who are so excited, they're just fully into whatever it is they're into, whether it's music or art or writing or health groups or playing crystal balls, whatever it is. They just have a passion about it, and you don't have to motivate them. Come on, Elena, I want to motivate you to go and do your sound healing. Come on, motivate you. It just doesn't, you don't have to. And that's the thing about a truly desired future self, is it will pull you towards it when you get the envisaging process locked in properly.